Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sofianisa Elma Mareta. And then in this video, I would like to explain about language maintenance and sift. Okay, the first material is about language sift in different communities. In migrant minorities, children's school is one of the first domain where children from migrant families encounter English. Also, maybe they have watched English TV programs and hearing English spoken in sub before starting school, but at school they are expected to interact in English. They have to use English because it's the only way to communicate with teachers and other children. And then mostly immigrant families gradually shift from using Gujarati, Italian, or Vietnamese to mostly other type to use English. It may take 3 or 4 generations, but sometimes language shift complete in just 2 generations. Usually, migrants are almost monolingual in their language, mother tongue. Their children are bilingual and their grandchildren are often monolingual in the language of the host country. And then we can observe this shift by noticing change in people patterns of language use in different domains. And then in the next is in non-migrant communities, language shifts are not always the result of migration. Political, economic, and social change can occur within a community, and this can result in linguistic change as well. So the next is in migrant majorities. When language shift occurs, it is almost always shift towards the language of the domain powerful group. A dominant group has little incentive to adopt the language of a minority. The dominant language is associated with status, prestige, and social success. It is used in the glamour context in the wider society for formal speeches on ceremonial occasions. By news, readers on television and radio, and by those whom young people admire, pop stars, fashion models, and DJs, disc jockeys. It is secretly surprising that many young minority group speakers should see its advantages and abandon their own language. Okay, so the next is about language, death, and loss. In Aboriginal Australia, the reason for the disappearance of Ayapenko can be attributed to factors such as the increased urbanization of the population and the political decision to introduce compulsory Spanish education. But when all the people who speak language die, the language will also die with them, like the massacre of the Aborigines or their death from a disease brought by European. As they die, then slowly their language will also become extinct. Their language dies with them. This is case of language death rather than language shift. These languages are no longer spoken anywhere when a language gradually dies, in contrast to all its speakers being wiped out by a mass scare of or an epidemic. And then the process is similar to a language shift. And then the function of language is taken in the domain after another by other language, like domains in which speaker of the language are using speaker of dying language are become fluent, not proficient in it. And then the next is factor contributing to language shift. There are three factors. The first is economic, social, and political factors. The second is demographic factor. And then the last is attitude and value factor. The next is how can minority language be maintained? There are certain social factors which seems to return wholesale language shift for a minority language group, at least for a time, where language is considered an important symbol of minority groups' identity. For example, the language is likely to be maintained longer if families from a minority group live near each other and see each other frequently. This also helps them maintain their language. And then they have another factor too, which may contribute to language maintenance for those who immigrate in the degree and frequency of contact with the homeland. A regular stream for a new migrant or even visitor will keep the need for using a language live and so on. And then the next is about language revival. Language revival is people trying to make a language spoken often again when it is not spoken or spoken very little. Language that happen when a language is not used by the people who used to speak it. Language revival tries to save language that is dead or endangered. Language Language revitalization, also referred to as language revival or reversing language shift, is an attempt to help or reverse the decline of language or to revive an extensive one. Those involved can include linguists, cultural or community group or proper. Okay, that's from me. Thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.